Okay, I'm back. Teutonic tanks in the chat. Nobody had Vikings. Yeah, I think that Mayans and Mongols are probably being considered to be the best two civs there, and then it's basically what kind of third civ do they take? And if you go Mayans and Mongols, then you're missing a Paladin civ, and I think they choose Persians instead of Huns there because there are some nomad starts in the SY map pack. And otherwise, like, I don't know how many like really water dominant maps there are in the pack either. Like, I think that if it was 4v4, then Vikings would have been a choice, would be the fourth choice. I'm not sure what the kind of typical thinking on that would be, whether Vikings would be one of the top three civs or not, but that's the explanation that I see. Why not Spanish? Well, I don't think the Spanish trade bonus is as important as... Oh, do you mean why not Spanish in terms of for your Paladin civ? I just think Persians are probably a bit stronger, a bit more of an economic powerhouse, and also good in the nomad starts. And as somebody has just this second said, Spanish flank can be difficult to play. Like with some of the weird maps that are in SY map pack. I mean, I can't think of any specific examples off the top of my head, but some of the weird maps in SY map pack, I imagine they'd be hard to play as Spanish, potentially. I think Persia much more like solid powerhouse civ to have in with this potential situations that the SY map pack can throw at you. That's just my musings anyway. So next one is for random. So once again, no idea what it's going to be, so let's have a look. Game starting just this second. And we're still 3v3. I swear Rubenstock showed up. I'm sure I saw these guys playing 4v4 on the day, but maybe they didn't start playing and 4v4 until later on. Like I said, the fact that I say later on is not necessarily a spoiler, because I believe the agreement was that they would play all the games anyway, because it would be useful and interesting and fun for them to play an extended set of games against each other, because this essentially would be forming practice for the tournament, the team game tournament that has now been announced, although hadn't been announced at this time, but the Chinese certainly, and presumably Finland, already knew about it. So, full random, and we've got Oasis, and now you see the Vikings are here, because it's full random and because it's not SY map pack. Full random, heavily water oriented set of maps where water is so crucial that Vikings become so important to have on your team. So no surprise to see that here. On land maps, of course, the Vikings could also become a slinging civ. So this is one of the few maps in the full random pool that doesn't have some kind of water element. I was saying the other day when we saw some full random games between China and CZ, I was like, oh wow, Oasis, you don't see that a lot at a high level, and now we've got it here as well, so it's going to be fun. Let's see what we've got. Paladin is here, the spiritual leader of SY. The great captain has arrived. So basically China seemed to be keeping their 2-star players and SY seem to be keeping their 2-star players, Yo and Lovching, and then rotating their third player at this point. For Finland, it remains the same. No surprise, their strongest 3 players, Zuppy, Pike and Max. So let's have a look where the flanks are. Okay, it's left hand side versus right hand side of the map. We've got Zuppy Mongol flank facing off against Paladin Viking flank. Opposite flanks, Pike Vikings versus Yo Mongol. So it's basically mirrored. Well, not mirrored, but it's we've got Vikings versus Mongols on both sides, obviously with swap teams, and then in the pockets we've got 2 Hun pockets. Those being Max and Love Chain. So with Oasis, it can be very kind of passive, and through the early game and the mid game, you quite often just see massive stone walls coming up on the sides, and a lot of booming taking place. So we'll have to see how this one plays out, whether anybody goes aggressive. In that CZ versus China game that I casted, we had an Aztec flank played by, I don't know, I think it was Lix, and I was praying for him to go smush, and he did, and that provided good diversion through the mid game. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself too extensively, but because I've said it a couple of times, but this was literally just a best of 5 that China and Finland decided to play just randomly. There was $200, which I don't know how they split the money across the games. I think it was provided by Paladin, so it was basically, if China won, it was him paying it back to his own team. But they just played it for training. They also did the same thing against Brazil, but that was best of 7 and $400. And also we've seen the Chinese players, the SY players in particular, combining together to play rated team games together a lot more on Voobly against international opposition. A lot more than usual, basically, because they obviously all knew that the team game tournament was coming. But you know, most of the international community had heard rumours going back a little while now. And these games happened approximately a month ago. And I've been promising endlessly whilst streaming that I was going to cast them. And then always, like the next time I streamed, I was casting something else. So Vikings being present in this match, obviously if this gets to the late game, they're not that effective when the other 2 Sibs are going to be making Paladins, Elite Mangudai, and very, very scary Mongol Siege. So with the Viking flanks, it's going to be interesting to see whether they actually do... well, there's a few options. They could try and do Castle Age aggression against their opponent's flank, who may be trying to boom more, but on a map like this where you can just stonewall across the front, it's quite hard to do that. So like they may, it will probably end up getting dragged out to Imperial Age anyway. Like they may choose to fight in Imperial Age, but as I said, with the other enemy Sibs being Paladin Sibs and Elite Mangudai, that's really, really tough. So one or both teams may conclude that the best use of Vikings here is to sling, and it could be a feudal or Castle Age sling. Given that the map is kind of closable anyway, like I'd probably see a Castle Age sling as being the most viable there, the most effective. I probably feel like a feudal age sling would be more suited to something like Arabia than this Oasis map. But Paladin is drushing, as is Zupi. Yo just completely walling with no drush, so I'm gonna presume that Pike will see that or probably saw that already and didn't bother to drush, or maybe that wasn't on his mind anyway. Yeah, if you look on AOC Zone, there's a big announcement right across the front page. There's a $30,000 team game tournament announced by the Chinese community, which is being run by the Voobly community team, at least like our side of it is, when it's going to be streamed here as well. But the $30,000 prize money coming from China, so head to AOC Zone, you'll find out everything you need to know, but it's literally only just been announced. Okay, looking at the drushes, basically both players having most of their militia cleaned up, 1 left for each of them. All of the scouts getting involved, but nobody's scouts should be lost. Actually, Paladin might lose his, he's only going to take 1 more hit. But Drush is basically just cancelling each other out here. And that will enable, okay, Paladin scout going down, but that will enable Zuppy to get his wall up, and that means we're going to see walls on both sides already. Pike not going for the kind of far forward full wall just now. He's just doing a little bit of walling right on the edge of his base to keep himself safe, so maybe he's gonna be a little bit more aggressive than like a further forward walls could suggest. Alternatively, he might just be doing this for now and he'll go and stonewall it all off later, but I hope we see at least one of the Viking flanks trying to make a go of it. But Paladin went up on pretty high pop with 30 villagers in the Dark Age there. Obviously he did Drush as well, but you know, together with the Scout, assuming you haven't lost your Drush already, that's 34 pop click up. That's quite high. Pike just going with a more standard FC type build possibly, but actually maybe he's just going to drop archery ranges and yeah, I wonder if he's going to do like more forward archery ranges and then maybe drop siege workshops and try and make something happen if he clicks up. I'm not sure. Or whether he's just going to try... Yeah, he's going to click up looking at his resources, but... No, this isn't what I wanted you to do, Pike. He's going for those far forward stone walls that say I'm just going to... pretend... Well, maybe he'll do the walls and then try and be aggressive. Like, you know, like put a gate, build some stuff, or even just build in front of his walls. I don't know. But we're seeing stone walls from Yo, so everybody's going to be walled off on the left hand side. And Zuppy going stone wall. More understandable from the Mongol players. Well, very understandable from them, because they're, you know, if they can get away with it, they just want to boom and just get to Elite Mangudai straight away. Yeah, I imagine that people like Viper will be lured back for this kind of prize money. I'd be surprised if not. Although he's been absent for about a month now, like he said he was going on hiatus, I think. I don't believe he said I've quit, I've retired in the same way that Jordan did. But even Jordan might be lured back by a tournament of this size, who knows. But yeah, I imagine like we'll see Riot slam backed Viper Doubt, maybe even Coven possibly, I don't know, sitting in there as a substitute. Oh, I'm forgetting Fire, of course. But somebody asked Backed on his stream earlier, like, are you going to play in the Clan Masters? And he goes, yes. And then somebody goes, well, what team are you playing for? And he's like, I don't know. So it seems that Tyrant are yet to decide what they're doing yet. I'm flicking from side to side of the map, hoping to see something other than Age of Stone Walls. But Age of Stone Walls is what we're getting. We've got one archer on the field from Paladin, 2 archers. He's on the way to the Castle Age. He's got archer range blacksmith, but it doesn't seem to signal aggressive intent to me. I mean, let's check his range, see if he's producing any more, but I doubt it. I think it's literally a case of just poking around, perhaps giving the illusion of wanting to apply a little bit of pressure, but also keeping his walling villagers safe. So the thing to watch now is, does he go into Castle Age Sling, or does he just boom, or does he actually start producing some more military? Likewise for the other Vikings player, which is Pike, dropping TCs, outposts on the stone walls, market. So what did he use to go up? I think he did market blacksmith. Okay. barracks was interesting because I don't think he did any kind of drush. He did a barracks, then stonewalled, and then did market blacksmith. So Pike's still with the possibility to Castle Age Sling. Paladin. No second TC just now. We did see that there were a couple of knights from Love Cheng, but he dropped TCs, just one stable, assuming he's going to go 4th TC soon. So he's not going to carry on adding knights. And we saw 2 knights from Max as well, so both pockets basically just doing 2 knights and then going to do 3 into 4 TC boom, presumably. Just had a monastery going up for Paladin, but gather point on the roof, 2 relics for now, and he's getting coinage, so gonna see Castle Age Sling for Paladin whilst collecting up relics and stuff. And for Pike, what I want to do is check to see if he got coinage, because if he did, I missed it. Just looking at his eco, he's actually doing 4 TCs, which is a lot to be Castle Age Slinging, so I don't know if he's actually going to be doing that. Maybe he'll try and just do a fast boom and then do a push, like a fast push with Vikings, like with Arbalest and stuff. Try and catch Yo out before he's ready, because obviously Yo is going to be slower as Mongols, because not only do you need a bigger eco, but you don't have the superb eco bonuses that the Vikings have. What about Leo's team? Yeah, I am just absorbing myself in the chat for a moment whilst we watch Age of Stone Walls, what booming and Castle Age Slinging pan out. So Paladin Sling is going to Yo, slinging the Mongols, and on the okay, Paladin is just going to war the hell out of this. Double layer coming up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 10 layers here before too long. Oh, the excitement. The same thing going on for Pike as well, so both sides are going to have layers upon layers of stone walls. Glocken, where's the hate, Matt? Where does hate come from? You're usually a supporter. Alright, so Yo on his way to the Imperial Age, but let's have a look what he's doing. He's fairly heavily on stone, but if he wants to go straight into Mangudai, actually he's got about 10 villages on stone, so he'll be able to get multiple castles fairly quickly. Stone mining upgrade kicking in for him as well. But 60 vills even with Sling, like it'll be enough, but it's not excessive amounts by any means. Paladin also thinking, oh no, sorry, that's Love Cheng getting trade, never mind. Love Cheng getting early trade, I was thinking it was Paladin. Sometimes I look at Fengjin and Yingwa and like don't relate them to their more known by names. Max just doing that 4TC boom, getting early trade as well, still with one stable on the right hand side that he produced a couple of knights from, but ultimately just in full boom mode. He won't be ready to click up to the Imperial Age just yet. Zuppy's on his way though. I'm going to check who Pike is slinging. Presumably it's Zuppy, but yeah, indeed. But we see a stronger sling by Paladin thus far of about 1,000 resources difference, and that will be why Yo is just a couple of minutes faster. I'm focused intently upon this mangonel, see if it can pick off a stray monk. It's going to be the most excitement we've had in 26 minutes. So let's take a look at Yo, because he's going to be the one that's going to push first here. Hitting the Imperial Age right now. One castle coming up on the front there, along with the Siege Workshop straight away. Capped Ram, Bloodlines, Bodkin Arrow, getting all of those upgrades straight away. Chemistry, so easy to do that when you're receiving Sling, of course, but you're getting 76 villages of your own as well. Zuppy preparing the same sort of thing over here. One castle, one siege workshop, but just a minute or two slow to the Imperial Age, and therefore with the upgrades as well. Right, this game was in 2 parts because there were 2, and it doesn't say like that anything's ended, but I think this is the drop that happened. I'm actually gonna check this. No, well, actually, no. I can fast forward it if that's a mistake, but it's completely paused and I haven't touched the speed, so I think this must be the point where the drop was. But I think you normally get a message saying like stream ended. So let me load part 2 of the wreck. Man, we could have skipped part 1. Okay, let's go. Hopefully this restarts at minute 27, was it? Yeah, here we go, minute 27. And it's as we were. Castle's going up, siege workshop's going up. Zuppy putting a little bit of pressure on the walls with the mangonels, but in total on the map there are 8 military units for Finland and 7 for China, so very deadly situation for both teams right here. It's coming, guys, the action is coming, I promise you. I haven't had this excitement since Mitchie no cut 60 minutes. This basically is Mitchie 30 cut, isn't it? Because they're gonna, that's when they're looking to cut about 30 minutes. Jesus. Elite Manga dive for Zuppy, all the upgrades coming in, Bloodlines, Ballistics, Bodkin, Capped Ram. Actually, Zuppy getting that Elite Manga die earlier than Yo in the end. Yo's a little bit faster to push with the siege instead, knows that it's going to take a moment to get through those walls, so whilst he works on that he can get the upgrades to his Mangudai then. Zuppy meanwhile still battering on these walls, but those are fortified walls, 3000 HP, it's going to take a long time. And then this is cool, Paladin actually transferred the relics from his monastery, or the relic. Because there's one here, like I assumed he put the monastery way out there to come and get this one in the northern corner, but he didn't in the end. I assume he could see that. Let's check. Yeah, he could see that. Oh my god, come on. Built the monastery right there, but at least he's gonna get one for his troubles taking it inside his second layer of walls, or second row of walls. So Yo is through the first layer of walls of Pike, coming up against the second layer. One Mangonel for Pike, gonna try and slow the advance, but with the Mangudai there, Mangonel will go down easily. Yo will build a second castle here to solidify his advance, and siege rams will be through those walls pretty soon. So Pike not gonna have a lot more time before Yo is fully on him. But by then Max should be ready. He's already on Cavalier +4, 19 military just now. Gonna need a bit more to stop this, especially as Yo is receiving Sling and Mongols so powerful. But for now, Pike's walling, buying him the time he needs. Basically identical situation on the top. Zuppy pushing through the walls, dropping a castle on the second layer of walls that he encounters, but not quite with the same level of siege technology at this point. No siege ram, and relying more or less on mangonels to batter through the wolf just now. And Yo is in, finally! Stuff is gonna die. Fights are gonna happen. This is what we came here to see, and we waited 32 minutes for, so it was Mitchie 32 no cut. But as I said, the walling bought Pike just enough time for Max to be ready, and although Love Cheng is here, Yo, well, the two together don't really have enough to push just yet. Paladin upgrade moments from kicking in from Max. Pike's going to lose some vills on this front goal and lose access to that front goal potentially, but the players did Castle Age Sling, so Pike at 100 vills at this point. And right now, with Zuppy pushing at the top, and not especially quickly, what it means is that Max is solely responsible for holding back the push of China. So that's his paladins versus Love Cheng's paladins, but then obviously a slung Mongol on top of that for him to face. And while some whisper that the Max is godlike, he's not quite that godlike, and his ability to hold this is going to be very, very slim. So as long as Finland stick with this plan of Zuppy pushing at the top, I feel they're going to be in a lot of trouble, because China can just roll through them. And Zuppy has just been so much slower than Yo to push through these walls. He's just not mounting anything up there that's actually going to threaten Paladin. And meanwhile, Pike's economy is being reduced to tatters pretty quickly, and there's just no way Max can actually take this fight. And China will even be amongst the trade line of Finland, whereas for China it's much, much safer. Even if Zuppy pushes through this wall, this isn't where China are trading to. China are trading from the left corner to Yo, which is a shorter trade route. They've actually made it a little bit longer, but it's safe. Whereas Finland elected to trade towards the Slinger, who was inevitably going to get pushed back and lose ground and lose the corner. Blocking. Can't believe you, man. I got nothing. Looks like Zuppy has basically come here to stop this just rolling of the Chinese players through Finland's economies. I said that had to happen. Zuppy wasn't pushing anywhere near fast enough up here. Looks like he's ready to actually start doing some serious damage. He's got through a lot of siege that will enable him to get through the walls much more effectively, but even so, like, he could have pushed into Paladin and wiped out Paladin, but by the time we'd done that, Pike has already been half wiped out, and it wouldn't have been surprising to have seen the Chinese players progress all the way up to Max's base and take him out too. So I think Zuppy just had to come down here. But even so, like, if Zuppy doesn't get a move on in the top, just coming down here with half of his Mangudai or 2/3 of his Mangudai is not going to make the difference when you consider that Yo and Love Cheng are basically 100% here. Kind of a race against time to see who gets wiped out the most out of Paladin and Pike, and then which pocket ends up sustaining critical damage first once the slinging flanks are dealt with. For a long time it looked as though that was going to be Max, although Finland are starting to stabilise a little bit now, at least. A little bit. Ultimately, Zuppy's still being sealed out up here. Paladin managing to re-wall pretty well here. I thought that was going to be like the last layer that Paladin managed to get up in this area, but some walls going up there at least. That one being on 0 HP actually. Yo's Onigers have slowed the advance for a little while, but Zuppy should get through there soon. But this is a nice sneak from China, like Finland, where their armies, they're giving chase, but seems they initially lost sight of them. And Finland shifted their trade to the top corner, or the top edge of the map, because that's safe for them now. But China are just going to go after it. And I think if this is another like solid trade wipe for China, where they take out all of Finland's trade carts, because they've already taken out a lot that were progressing towards the southern corner. I think if they take out the trade in the northeast again, then that's going to be a nail in the coffin. Zuppy through the walls now, going to start finally mopping up some of Paladin's base. But Lovecheng has come back with a decent number of paladins to try and take care of that. Over here we see Yo and the rest of Lovecheng's paladins, which is a hell of a lot of them still, did make their way to the markets of Finland. And what's this? That's Juan messaging Paladin. That's a bit of unsavoury messages happening. Interesting stuff. Okay. I did hear that China were like seeking to play a match against Argentina as well, so maybe they had a bit of a falling out in trying to organise that. I don't know. Pure speculation, but that's pretty funny. Anyway, nice little trap by Zuppy here. Basically pincering and trapping all of China's army here, but the problem for Finland is that doesn't allow them to wipe the army out, because they've trapped them onto a hill. And ultimately China's army will get out of there pretty easily, or should do. But at least this is enabling Finland to minimise the trade cart losses here, even if they're not completely stopping the trade carts from being destroyed. Look, going back to the top, Zuppy's push into Paladin's base and into Lovecheng ultimately seems to have been shut down by Lovecheng diverting those Paladins, and still the situation looks much more dangerous for China. Oh, that Onager shot could have been really nice, but Yo was on point there. Yeah, the situation looks much better for China, much more dangerous for Finland. Simply because China have a whole bunch of Mangudai and some Paladins, although less Paladins than Max has actually, loose behind Finland's lines, and you know, if they manage to kind of escape the clutches of Finland's army that's kind of boxing them into this area for the moment, then they may be able to inflict sizable damage to the trade line and to the economies still. So it's really important that Finland, even if they can't destroy this army because it's got the hill, that they don't let it get loose somewhere else in the map, in the base, like in their bases. But as I said, Zuppy's push doesn't really exist anymore. Pike lost his entire eco, and Max was suffering losses here because he was so diverted in trying to defend at the top. And that has basically decided it. So very small things really deciding the game. If you remember, we looked at the slinger mounts roughly 25 minutes, and Paladin had sent 1,000 more resources to Yo than Pike had sent to Zuppy, and that resulted in Yo clicking Imperial Age 2 minutes faster, and basically mounting a much faster push here than Zuppy mounted up here. I also think Paladin did a better job of re-walling behind and interior walling and slowing Zuppy down. Then when Yo broke through the walls, it took out the trade of Finland. Finland made a little bit of an error, to my mind, in choosing to trade towards the Slinger, because ultimately, the Slinger has the potential to crumble, and therefore trading towards them, not a great idea. China went with the smallest trade route to begin with, but they did it from one corner to the base of the player who was getting slings, so he wasn't going to die, which means their trade was going to be safe. And then once they secured this bottom corner, they traded towards there, and that was still safe because they had the two main armies down here, including the guy who was getting sling. And then, of course, Finland, having secured the northern corner, started trading on the northeast, but Yo and Lovecheng always had the bigger military presence, so they just pushed through and got to the trade line again. And not only that, they also did more damage to the base of Pike, a lot more damage to the base of Pike than they did to Paladin. And ultimately as well, you had the Pockets base coming under attack, whereas Lovecheng totally untouched. So I can't even say there is a big difference deciding that. It was literally just a small thing of Paladin's sling being slightly better and slightly faster, and Finland trading towards the wrong corner, to my mind, that literally was the deciding factor. I'm glad that I didn't exit the game and see that I had a messenger window open to Juan and they were actually to me and not to Paladin. That would have been funny. But I can't think what I would have done to upset Juan to that degree. Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm saying, Dupe. You're right in terms of he had less pop, but the thing is, like, both teams were using the sling to get their Mongols to the Imperial Age and to push, and more resources went to the Mongol player for the Chinese team than for the Finnish team, and that meant the Mongol player was pushing a couple of minutes faster, Imperial Age a couple of minutes faster, and that just made it work a bit better. I didn't check how many resources were sent in the end, but Yo ultimately was pushing faster and more effectively than Zuppy was, and I think that was decisive. And like Glocken is now saying, Paladin walled better and they didn't give Pike onagers. Yeah, I mentioned Paladin's walling, didn't I, at the end of the game, but that is also a nice point to observe there, the fact that Yo did do some onagers by the walls, which slowed Zuppy down even more, whereas Pike never got them. Zuppy didn't come down and do onagers to stop Pike's walls from being broken quite as quickly.